make this cute little Easter bunny basket, and I would definitely consider it beginner friendly as long as you know some basic stitches, single crochet, stuff like that. And I still will be explaining a little bit as we go along, but you would want a basic understanding of crochet. And I'm kind of trying to explain this a little more on the beginning of my videos, like, you know, if I believe this is harder, or if I believe that it's more of a beginner video, because I've had some comments where people are saying, you know, this really isn't beginner, or this is too beginner, or, you know how it is on YouTube, you get all kinds of comments. But so I thought I would be more accurate in explaining. So basically, if you know some basic crochet stitches, then you will definitely know how to do this. However, if you are an absolute beginner in crochet, I have a great video on how to learn how to crochet for absolute beginners. So yeah, so let's go into real quick the basket part, okay? So this basket is made out of the rope stitch, and I actually did a video on how to make this basket, how to make the handle and the basket itself, how to put it all together and everything. And I'm gonna leave that in the description box below. So what I'm gonna show you how to do today basically is how to do the ears. We're gonna talk about the flower applique, how to do the eyes, and how to do the little nose and the mouth. So those are the things that we're going to be discussing and working on today. So please look in the description box, and I'll probably even put it in the comments as well, just so it won't get missed, on where to find the rope stitch and how to do this basket, okay? And that's all in that one video, how to do the stitch and how to make the basket, okay? So what you're gonna need for your materials today are, and not all of them are necessary, some of them are optional, but what you will need, if you're using the same colors as me, and you can use any one you want, however, but this is white Mainstays yarn from Walmart. This is pink yarn by Yarn Bee from Hobby Lobby. And this is for the eyes, just a dark brown red heart Super Saver yarn. I'm also using a little bit of wire for my ears. However, this is not something you have to have, but if you happen to have some pipe cleaners or some flower wire, which is what this is, then you can use that, and I'm going to show you how to do it around the ears, and it can make them more easily manageable and they'll stand up better, okay? So we're going to do that. I'm also using I'm using a 5.5 millimeter hook. You will need a pair of scissors, and you will need a darning needle, okay? Now I hot glued these eyes on. You can also use fabric glue. However, if this is for, if you don't have those things, or if this is for a very small child, your basket, you may want to sew the eyes on. And all that means is that you're just going to take your needle and thread and go in and out of the eye, and then you can do it that way. But I wanted it to be pretty clear on the inside of my basket, so I just glued those on. And also I used the white yarn to just do the nose in this. And then I just used, this just came from the dollar store. It was actually a little flower that was on a headband, and I don't use it anymore, and I thought it would look great with this for Easter. So I just cut it off the headband and put it on here. However, you can crochet a flower for this, and I will leave in the description below how to crochet a flower as well. So those will be two videos to look out for below, because I don't want you to feel like you have to have some other thing that's not made of crochet. So basically this is just like an applique, but it's not crochet. So I want to make sure that you have something that you can just crochet in case you don't have any kind of something like this to put on at home. Okay, so I'm done yakking, so let's get started. I'm going to first teach you how to do these ears. Okay, so we're going to put our little basket to the side, and I'm going to pull out my accent color first. So whatever other color you want to have, so if your basket is white, then like you would put the different color on the inside of this. I hope that makes sense. So the alternating color that's not the main color for your basket is what you'll use right now as we start for the ears. And then the color of the basket will be the outside border of the ear. Okay, so we're gonna pull out our white yarn. Okay, and I'm gonna lower my camera. I'm gonna move this stuff out of the way so we don't have any distractions. And let's start with a slip knot. Let's pull out our 5.5 millimeter hook, and we are going to chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so we've chained 8, and we're going to go into the second chain from the hook. So we're can't work in our loop that our hook's on. We're not going to work right here where this yarn's coming out of in this first loop. So we're going to go to the second one and do a single crochet, and we're going to do single crochets all the way down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so there's our first row. So I want you to do 9 more rows just like this, just single crochets back and forth. Now, one thing I do want to tell you, in case you're a beginner with crochet, you will need to chain 1 and turn your work for each row. And then you would go right into this first space right here and do a single crochet. And you would keep doing that for every row. So I'm going to stop the video right now, and I'm going to work on mine and you work on yours, and then we'll meet back up again in just a minute. 9 rows of single crochet, so technically we should have 10 now. So 10 rows of single crochet, and your count across should be 7. We started off with 8, but once you go down in the second, when we first started out and we went into the second chain from the hook, then that made our count go to 7. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to chain 1, you're going to turn your work, and then we're going to do a single crochet into this first stitch, and then you're going to do a single crochet in the next stitch, and then we're going to do 3 single crochets together. And this is what it means when you see in a pattern 3 SCTOG. Okay, so we're going to go into our next 3 stitches and pull up a loop, and we're not going to go through them. So we're going to pull up a loop like we were going to do a single crochet, but leave those 2 loops on our hook. Then we're going to go into our next stitch, pull up a loop, don't go through any stitches on our hook, go through the next stitch, pull up a loop, and now we've got 4 loops on our hook. We need to go through all 4 loops. Okay, and that's how we just single crocheted 3 together. Then you're going to go into your next stitch and put a single crochet, and then go into your next stitch and put a single crochet. Then you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and then you're going to put a single crochet again right here in this first available stitch. And then you're going to single crochet 3 together again. So you're going to go into your next stitch, pull up a loop, into your next stitch, pull up a loop, and into your next stitch, pull up a loop. Go through all 4 loops on your hook. Then you have 1 stitch left. And sometimes it's hard to see where your stitches are. Just turn your work on your side, and you'll be able to see this V up at the top. And that lets you know that you need to put a stitch there. So we need to put a single crochet right there. And those end ones can be hard to work into, okay? So we did our single crochet, so we're gonna chain 1, and now we have 3 stitches left on the top. So we're going to do 3 single crochets together. So we're gonna go into our first stitch there, bring up a loop, go into our second stitch, pull up a loop, go into our third, and pull up a loop, and then go through all 3, okay? And that ends the middle portion of the ear. Now you could be looking at this right now and think, oh my goodness, this does not look like an ear, number 1, and number 2, it doesn't look nearly big enough. But once we get done adding on all of our borders, it's going to look a lot bigger. So I'm gonna cut off now, and I'm gonna leave my white yarn right here because we're still gonna use that. We're not gonna change colors yet. And I'm just gonna pull this through for a chain 1 and pull tightly, okay? Then I want you to turn your ear like this where the bottom is facing forward. Okay, and now we're gonna bring just the white right back in down here at the bottom. It's just easier to start here at the bottom than it is up at the top. Then we're going to do a single crochet back into the same place we just brought our yarn into. And then we're going to do single crochets all across the bottom. When you go into this first stitch, you can pull it out a little bit. So just pull down on your ends that are hanging out over here and pull that down, okay? Now you can also work your scragglies in along as you go, okay? So that was our first single crochet. And like I said, we need 7. So I'm gonna pull these to the back and go all along and do 7 crochets. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, and then I can move these to the side because we've already worked those in, and we can cut those off in just a minute. Now we are technically at a corner. So we just did our 7th single crochet, so I want you to chain 1, and in that same spot we just worked the 7th single crochet, put another single crochet, and that just creates our corner, okay? Then we're gonna go into our next stitch and work a single crochet. And you're gonna work single crochets all along the top here and all the little holes that you can find, okay? So after we did our corner, let's count and see how many single crochets we need. So we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then the 13th will be the actual stitch right here at the top that we did when we did those 3 together, okay? So we're gonna go right in there and put a single crochet right at the very top, okay? And as we're coming along this way, we're just gonna work this little scraggly piece in with us. Okay, so as you can see, this is kind of moved to the side in this stitch. That's because it counts as part of this border, 13 stitches over here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to chain, now what we're going to do is we're going to go back in this stitch, do another single crochet, then chain 2, and put another single crochet in that same stitch, and that's up at the very tippy top, okay? Now we can start working this other piece in as we go along the other side. Okay, so we're going to go right into here and put a single crochet. Don't want to miss one. So let's see how many we need for this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then in this last stitch, you can let this go now, this little scraggly piece go, this 13th stitch, you need to do a single crochet, chain 1, and another single crochet because that's going to count as your corner. And then I want you to go right in where we did this first single crochet and do a slip stitch. Okay, and now you're going to cut off again. And now what we can do, this is what it looks like, by the way. And now what we can do is where we worked in all of our little scraggly pieces, we can cut off the little extra that we had left, okay? So we can cut that off. But we want to leave this one, of course, that we tied off on there because we're going to work that in now, okay? Now, if you want to, this is the time that you need to bring in your wire or your pipe cleaners, okay? So what I like to do is, you might need to put more than, you know, of course you could put 2 or 3 pipe cleaners together, but if you're using the flower wire, I just kind of pull it out, go around my project to see how much I need. Of course, there's going to be some left over, but I just simply go around and then I cut off. And this is small enough where I can just cut off with a pair of scissors, okay? So that's how I do it. So, and we're going to start at the end again, down here at the very bottom with our 7 single crochets at the bottom. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my wire right here. I'm going to try to straighten it out as best I can. Okay. And you can do that for your pipe cleaners. And like I said, you don't have to use these at all. It just helps give it more manageability for the ears, okay? So now I'm going to bring in the pink, which is the actual color of my basket, okay? And I'm going to bring in right here where I tied off, I'm going to bring in my pink yarn, okay? Just like this. Then I'm going to lay my wire behind my work. So I'm going to be working over this wire. This can get a little hectic. It's a lot easier when you're not on camera. Okay. So I've got my wire behind my work, and I'm also going to pull these scragglies behind as well so I can work those in. And then I'm going to go right back into the same stitch that I just brought my yarn on, and I'm going to do my first single crochet around the wire, okay? And the wire is going to be able to move as you go, so you can pull on it if you need to. And now we're just going to work over the wire and this yarn. And once you get this it gets a lot easier, okay? So let's do our 7 single crochets. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, now you're at your corner. So we're still going to be working around our yarn and those scraggly pieces for a little bit. So I want you to go, and this is kind of hard to get into because this is our chain 1 from our round before, but I want you to turn the hook on its side and use the pointy piece of your hook to get your yarn in there, okay? Because we need to put a lot of stitches in this one. So we're going to do 1 single crochet, then we're going to chain 1, and then in that same place, you're going to put another single crochet. And that's your corner. Now we're going to start working all the way up the side. And what we're going to do is we're going to put 2 single crochets in each stitch. So you're still working around your wire. It's still laid flush right back here. And we're still working over these scraggly pieces. So we're just going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch all the way up to the tippy top. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6, 7, and 8, 9, and 10, 11, and I think I've worked these in enough, so I'm just going to move this back to the back and still keep working over my wire. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20, 21, and 22, and 23, and 24, And now we're right up here getting close to the top. 25. Ah, my yarn was starting to come across. 25 and 26. Okay, so it took 26 stitches, 2 in each, to get us up to the very top. Right here is the very top of our ear. Okay, so that's what it looks like so far, and we've worked the wire in all the way along the back. Okay, so now you can't even see the wire at all. All right, so now we're going to work down this side, but I'm going to go ahead and cut off my little scragglies so they won't be in our way. That we already worked in. And now we're going to go down the other side doing exactly the same thing, working over the wire and putting 2 stitches in each stitch all the way down. And when we get down here to this other corner, I'll meet you back up again and show you how to finish off. Okay guys, so we've worked all the way down the other side of our bunny ear, and we're back here at the corner. We're still working around our wire edging. And so now we're going to go into this last place to put our corner. So we're going to do a single crochet, chain 1, and do another single crochet, and then you're going to slip stitch to that first single crochet that we did. Okay, just like that. And then you're all done with your ear, and this is what it looks like. And then you're going to cut off, tie off, and you might have a little bit of wiring left, and if you do, just simply cut it off right here as close as you can to the base. Okay, and make sure it goes back in and gets hidden under your yarn. All right, so then you would just work this in, or actually what you can do is leave a really long piece, because you are going to want to sew this onto your Easter basket. And the way that that's done is you fold this over just like this, just like that, and then you take your piece that you have and you go around the edges just like this, and then it'll stay like that. And because of the wire, you can turn it like this. You could make it go in more like that. You could flip it down like this and then back up. There's all kinds of things that you can do now that it has wire in it. However, if you didn't have wire, you did not have the pipe cleaners, this would have worked just fine with just doing it without it as well, and with folding it in at the end, okay? So you can do that. Also, if you're using a very soft yarn, this right here in the middle is just that white Mainstays Walmart yarn. And so kind of similar, but kind of not, to a cotton yarn, though it is sturdy. So the more pliable yarn that you use for this, the better it's going to stand alone. So you don't, like a Karen Simply Soft or something like that would not work for this entire ear. Now this pink that I used on the side is a softer yarn, the one from Hobby Lobby, the Yarn Bee, but because I just use it as my outside, it doesn't affect it too much. But actually using this kind of soft yarn on the outside made me want to definitely use the wire with it, if that made sense. So if you're not going to use the wire at all, you definitely want to use like a Red Heart Super Saver or a Mainstay, something like that, with a sturdiness to it, or maybe even just a cotton yarn. Okay, so that's how you do the ears. So you're going to need 2 of these. Okay, and now I'm going to show you how to do the eyes. Okay, and they're really easy. So all you're going to do is you're going to start with a magic circle, or you could do the chain 2 magic circle if you would prefer, but we're going to start with a magic circle. And I know this is a dark yarn, but I just wanted to show you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then you would pull your magic circle, and then you would do a slip stitch into the first chain from the hook, just like this, okay? And then you would simply tie off, leaving enough to work it in, or if you wanted to sew these on instead of gluing them, you want to leave enough space to actually sew them on to your Easter basket. But I glued mine, so what I did then is I simply worked in both of these pieces into the back 3 times each. So I took this and I worked it along in here, and then I took this and I worked it along in here, and then I just put a little dab of hot glue on the back, and then I put it on my Easter basket, okay? So that's all you really need to know for that. And now I wanted to show you how to put on the little nose and the mouth, okay? So this is what I did, okay? So I took my, the way I showed you how to do the ear. So basically you folded the ear in half like this, and then you're going to sew the ends together, and then you're simply, let me raise this up, you're simply going to place these right in the middle, right here on either side of the middle of your basket, okay? Now you could, if you wanted extra sturdiness, because I used a soft yarn for my Easter basket, I did a little stitch here up to the top of my handle so that my ears would stay even more erect up there, okay? Now, and that's just because my basket is super soft, because I use that soft yarn. Had I used a more, like I said before, like a cotton yarn, it may have been a little bit better, okay? So, but I do love the colors, and I still think it turned out great. I just had to do a couple extra stitches. So basically you're just gonna lay this flat against here, sew this on, and then after you sew it, you can open it back up like this, like I did mine, and it'll sit just like that. So those will go both ways like that. And then I glued my eyes right under, it's hard to kind of tell. So I glued my eyes 1, 2, it looks like about 4 rows up. I glued my eyes right under the ears. Okay, just like that. So what I'm going to do, since I don't have another basket handy, I'm going to turn this Easter basket over, and I'm going to show you how I did the nose and the mouth, okay? So I'm going to pull out some white yarn. And I'm going to go ahead and put it on my darning needle, a big long piece of white yarn. And we won't need that much, but I want to have enough. So I'm just going to pull in quite a bit here. And then we're going to work our nose and our mouth, okay? Now, as you can see over here, you can see where I put it, so you can tell it's right here with a little line. So it's very close to the bottom, and that's because this is a shallower Easter basket. Also remember that when you watch my how to make the Easter basket and the rope stitch video, I show how to make it bigger on there. So if you wanted a bigger, deeper basket, you can definitely do that. But if you want the smaller one like I did in that actual video, this is what it looks like. So your eyes and your nose and mouth may change just a little bit per the size of your Easter basket. But if you're making it just like mine, this is how you do it. But you can still do your nose and mouth just like this. And I think they do look best a little bit closer to the bottom. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. So I'm just going to count up. So what I did is I'm going to come in from my other side with my yarn, and I'm going to bring this in, and I'm going to leave quite a bit here at the back, okay, because we're going to want to work that in or tie it off, however you choose. Okay, and then we're going to go right over here. So we're making a line, we're outlining what we want our nose to look like. Okay, so I've done that, and now I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to make basically an upside down triangle. And guys, I'm really sorry about all the noise. I think the washer was going at one point. My kids were walking through. My husband is weed eating. But we are all quarantined in our home, and everyone is out of school. So there is no way to avoid this added noise. So I am really sorry, but it's just the way it has to be right now. But I am sorry if it is distracting, okay? So then you're going to come over here on your other side, and you're going to finish off your triangle. Okay, just like this. So it's just kind of like you're sewing with, you know, with yarn, basically, cross stitching almost with yarn. And then you're simply going to fill in this little triangle. So you're going to keep going back and forth, okay, till you get this filled in. So, and the more you go over it, the thicker it's going to be, the more it's going to stand out. So that's up to you. But I just wanted to show you kind of how I did it. We're just filling in all the pink right now, basically. So, you know, in a perfect world, they would all go the exact same way and cover everything, but it doesn't always work like that. So I might have to go back and see, like right there. I'm going to come in right over here and go down. And then it looks like there's a little piece over here. And this is just the way I do it. If you know a better way, go for it. Okay, and so now we've made a little triangle. And then what I did for the bottom of the mouth there is I just went right under the nose, right here, right under it. And I just did a little line right to the bottom, just like this. Okay, and you can go over that again if you want to make it stand out more, but that's basically all I did for mine. So that's how you do the nose and the mouth, okay? And then you would just cut off and you would work these little pieces. You can either, if they're closer together, you can knot them off and cut off if you're fine with that. Otherwise, you can work these into the back loops. If you're selling this or it's as a gift or something like that and you want it to be absolutely perfect, you take the white and you make sure that you only work through these back loops, okay? So that it doesn't come through the other side and mess up your rope stitch, okay? So I'm gonna obviously cut this off because now I have a nose and a mouth on the wrong side of the Easter basket. But yeah, just work those in, work in all of your ends, okay? And then, I can't remember if I said this so far, but yeah, after I sewed the ears on, then I just took my flower and I used the glue gun and put a little piece there and put my flower right there. But again, I'm gonna have a thing in the description, a link in the description below to lead you to how to make a crocheted flower, an easy crocheted flower to put on here. And if you did that, you can either sew it or you can also use craft glue or hot glue for that as well. So that's how you make this cutie patootie little Easter basket. I love the way it turned out. I'm going to give this as a gift this year with some little little toys and candy in it. So yeah, so I hope everybody's doing great. If you're at home and you're self-quarantined, I'm there with you. And if you're stressed out, I'm there with you too. I'm praying for our country and the world in general. And just know that I love you all very much. You are all in my prayers. And I will see you again soon with another tutorial. Just to let you know, my next tutorial is also kind of springy, Eastery too. And it would be great in an Easter basket. And it's going to be a little kitty cat lovey. So, you know, the loveys are the tiny little blankets with the little animals on the top. And I found a great way to make a kitty cat one, and they're super easy. So that'll be my next video. So I'm trying to stay busy and trying to give y'all stuff to watch. So yeah, I'll see you soon. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you get a chance, please watch a ad or two here or there because it helps with the funding for all of the materials for this channel. So thanks guys. I'll see you again soon. Happy crocheting. Bye-bye.